Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking at something maybe a bit unexpected in relation to your finances. It's the Buddhist idea of emptiness. Stay with us because, well, it might sound like a contradiction, but it could actually be a really surprising key to unlocking a richer financial life.
It's an interesting starting point, isn't it?
Think of it like this: an empty bowl. It's not lacking something. It's actually full of potential. It's ready to receive.
Whereas a bowl that's already crammed full.
Exactly. Nothing new can get in. So the question is your mind, maybe without you even realizing it, kind of like that full bowl when it comes to wealth?
It's a subtle point, definitely. This idea of creating inner space first. It's not just about, the external stuff, earning more money. It's about our internal state, how ready we are to actually welcome prosperity.
Yeah, exactly. It reminds me of that little story, the one
Tell me.
about the wealthy merchant, already doing well by most standards, but he goes to see this quiet monk, and he's not after stock tips or anything. He wants something deeper.
Right.
So the monk just asks him, do you see your wealth like fresh water, always flowing, nourishing things? Or is it more like a stagnant pool?
Powerful imagery.
Yeah. And the merchant, he's puzzled at first, but then he gets it. The monk's point is that money, it's like energy. It needs to move to be healthy, to thrive.
And holding on too tight.
Right. Out of fear, that just leads to stagnation. Not just for your money, but for opportunities too.
That fear of loss, it really can be a strong current, can it? Pulling us away from that natural flow you mentioned. When we cling, we sort of contract, we close off.
But when we release that grip...
Then there's space, room for something new to actually come in.
Okay, so for everyone listening, maybe the first really core idea we want to explore is this. Try to release the fear. See money more as a tool, not the absolute end goal. It sounds simple, but, well, the reasons we hold on to that fear can run really deep.
Oh, absolutely. And I think understanding those roots, that's where we can genuinely start to build a different kind of relationship with abundance.
Okay, let's really dig into that then. Why do we resist financial well-being? Even when we consciously say we want it. It's not just laziness, right? There must be these hidden currents, these beliefs stopping us.
Well, think about the cultural stories we've all absorbed. Phrases that just echo down the generations, like, money is the root of all evil.
Oh, that one's huge, isn't it?
It is. And those seeds planted way back, they can grow into this real unease around having wealth, even if logically we know we need security.
Yeah, it creates this internal conflict. We're supposed to strive, get ahead, but there's this nagging voice saying, maybe wealth itself is, dirty, corrupting.
And from a Buddhist standpoint, the issue isn't the money itself. It never is, really. It's the attachment to it. Attachment, you see, that's what ultimately creates suffering. It ties us to specific outcomes, and then we get dissatisfied when things don't go exactly as we planned or wanted.
So detachment, in this context, it's not about rejecting wealth, not about saying, I must be poor.
Not at all, no. It's about maintaining a kind of healthy distance, not letting the craving for more or the absolute dread of losing what you have control you.
Okay, so engaging with it, but mindfully, awarely.
Precisely. Engaging with awareness, recognizing it's fluid, it changes, rather than grabbing onto it like it's some permanent, solid thing. Maybe think back for yourself. What messages did you get about money growing up? Things like, oh, we can't afford that, or maybe only greedy people get rich. These early ideas, they can set up really powerful limits later on, often completely unconsciously.
Those childhood echoes. Wow, they can be really persistent, quietly steering our financial choices years down the line.
And the first step to getting free is just noticing those thoughts without judging them. Ask yourself, is my internal chat about money generally positive, expansive, or is it, tinged with negativity, lack, limitation?
Once you spot them.
Then you can gently start to challenge them. Maybe replace "I'll never have enough" with something like "I am worthy of abundance."
Or money's hard to come by with.
Maybe money flows to me effortlessly. Or just easily. Whatever feels authentic but shifts the energy.
It's like rewiring that internal script.
Yeah.
Shifting from lack to possibility.
Exactly. And it's crucial to remember the Buddha himself wasn't against material success. Not at all. His teachings warned against the extremes. Attachment, yes, but also the imbalance of either total indulgence or harsh deprivation. He always pointed towards the middle way. Balance. Seeing wealth as neutral energy. It's a tool. It can be used for good or for ill. It all depends on our intention.
And that understanding, that perspective, it leads pretty naturally to the next cornerstone, doesn't it? Gratitude.
Ah, yes. Gratitude.
It almost feels too simple sometimes. But the effect it has is just huge.
Yeah.
It's more than just saying thanks, isn't it? It really recalibrates how we view our situation right now.
It absolutely does. Gratitude has this um, remarkable power. Psychologically, yes, but spiritually, too. There are studies showing it can actually change our brain chemistry, shifts our focus to the positive, reduces stress, boosts well-being overall.
And from that Buddhist perspective you mentioned, it ties into that whole idea of interconnectedness, right? This beautiful web.
Mm-hmm. When we truly appreciate what we have, we're acknowledging all the threads that came together, the efforts of others, nature's gifts, the circumstances that aligned, all contributing to what we have right now.
Yeah, it's not just us.
Exactly. Every part of our financial life, the income we get, the resources we use, it's all woven from this incredibly intricate tapestry of connection. And recognizing that, it shifts our focus away from what's missing towards what's already here. It moves us from that feeling of not enough to an awareness of, well, maybe always enough in this moment.
And that shift in perspective, for anyone listening, that can be a really powerful force in attracting more abundance, right?
Absolutely. It changes the energy you put out.
So how can we actually practically cultivate this? What are some concrete steps someone could take, maybe starting tonight?
Well, a very gentle practice, and it's rooted in mindfulness, is just taking a few quiet moments each evening. Reflect on maybe 3 things related to your finances that you feel grateful for.
And they don't have to be huge things.
Oh, not at all. Maybe you appreciate being able to save just a small amount, or maybe some unexpected help you received, or even just the chance you had to share a little of what you have with someone else.
Even those tiny wins count, don't they? It's like training your mind to actively look for and acknowledge the good bits of your financial picture, no matter how small they seem.
Precisely. Over time, doing this gently reshapes our neural pathways. It makes us more receptive, better at noticing opportunities and blessings, instead of just dwelling on what we perceive as lacks or problems.
And gratitude isn't just an internal thing, is it? It extends outwards too.
Definitely. To our interactions with others.
Right? Like actually expressing appreciation to people who contribute somehow. A mentor, maybe? A colleague? Even the person who makes your coffee.
Absolutely. It fosters goodwill, strengthens those connections.
It creates a kind of positive feedback loop, maybe.
It does. It creates a reciprocal flow. When we acknowledge and value what others do, it often leads to more positive interactions, maybe unexpected support down the road. Just a simple thank you, genuinely meant, can ripple outwards. It helps build a more supportive, abundant environment for everyone.
Okay, now let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about a concept that, well, it carries a lot of baggage sometimes, and maybe some misunderstanding. Karma.
Karma.
In the context of our financial lives, how does this principle, this law of cause and effect, actually work?
Well, as you said, karma is often misunderstood. People think of it as like cosmic punishment or reward. But really, in its essence, it's just the law of cause and effect. Simple as that. Every action we take, even the intention behind the action, plants a kind of seed. And that seed will eventually bear fruit in our experience.
So financially, that means the choices you make today about your money, they directly shape your financial future.
Directly. It's about taking ownership, really. Recognizing that our spending habits, how we invest, our attitudes towards debt, these aren't just isolated events. They create a chain reaction, a sequence of consequences.
It makes sense. You can see it play out.
Exactly. Imagine 2 people starting out, similar situations. One spends impulsively, racks up debt, doesn't plan. The other saves mindfully, invests wisely, lives within their means.
Years later.
Their financial situations will likely be vastly different. And it's not random luck. It's the direct result of those consistent choices made over time.
And it's not just our direct actions with money, is it? It's also about how we interact with others in financial dealings. Our integrity.
Oh, absolutely. Acts of generosity, honesty, compassion. These also generate positive karma. When we give freely, even when it feels like a stretch, we're planting seeds of goodwill. And those can return to us in really unexpected ways.
You told a story earlier about an entrepreneur, Maya. That seemed like a perfect illustration.
Yes, Maya. She was facing real challenges launching her business. Money was tight. But despite her own limitations, she decided to volunteer her time teaching business skills to young people in underserved areas. It was purely an act of giving, no expectation of getting anything back financially right away. But through doing that, she connected with some experienced mentors. They were really impressed by her dedication.
And those connections helped her business.
Enormously. They gave her invaluable advice, opened doors, created opportunities that really propelled her business forward. Her initial offering of time and compassion yielded returns far beyond just money.
That's such a powerful reminder. Aligning our actions with integrity, with kindness, paying debts responsibly, treating people fairly, sharing resources openly, it creates a kind of harmony, doesn't it?
Hmm.
It suggests true wealth isn't just a bank balance. It includes that alignment between our inner values and how we behave outwardly.
Precisely. Which brings us beautifully to another essential piece of this puzzle, the power of mindfulness.
Right, mindfulness. It's everywhere these days, and, well, for good reason, it seems.
Yeah.
How does this practice, this present moment awareness, specifically tie into our financial health?
Well, mindfulness fundamentally is about cultivating this non-judgmental awareness. Right here, right now. Applied to finance, it lets you become more aware of your thoughts, your emotions, your impulses around money. Just that pause, that moment of conscious attention, it can be absolutely transformative. It can help break those reactive, often damaging financial habits.
You also shared the story about Alex, the tech startup founder. That really brought it home for me.
Yes, Alex. Incredibly driven, but also very stressed. And that stress often led him to make impulsive decisions that weren't helping his company.
So he started meditating.
He did, just as a way to manage the anxiety, get some mental clarity, and through that daily practice, he learned to pause. Pause before reacting to market swings or what competitors were doing. Instead of chasing every shiny object, every fleeting opportunity, he started asking, does this align with our long-term vision, our core values?
So it brought a level of intention to his decisions that maybe wasn't there before. It was anxiety driving things.
Exactly. And furthermore, mindfulness helped him cultivate patience, which is so crucial for building anything sustainable. He learned to trust his team more instead of feeling like he had to control every single detail. And that actually led to more collaboration, more innovation.
That makes sense.
He even said something really powerful. Money used to control me. Now I control my relationship with money.
Wow. That really nails the shift, doesn't it? From being driven by money, anxieties, and desires to having a more conscious, empowered relationship with it.
Absolutely. Financial well-being, in many ways, it really does start in the quiet of your own mind. By calming that internal noise, maybe through meditation or journaling or even mindful movement like yoga, you create the space needed for clearer, more rational, and values-based financial choices.
Okay, so we've explored these foundational ideas: resistance, gratitude, karma, mindfulness. Let's move into how we can practically apply this wisdom day to day. This brings us to navigating the middle path towards financial freedom, using mindful spending, generosity, and detachment.
Yes, the middle path. Such a central idea in Buddhism. It's all about balance, avoiding those extremes. In your financial life, it means finding that harmonious way to engage with money, steering clear of both reckless spending and excessive, joyless scrimping.
Let's start with mindful spending. You used a great metaphor earlier, the two doors. Could you share that again?
Ah, yes. Imagine you're standing before two doorways. Behind door number one is a room just filled with stuff you bought impulsively, maybe to fill a temporary emotional gap or just out of habit. Things now gathering dust, maybe even making you feel a bit guilty.
Okay, I can picture that room.
Right. Then, behind door number two is a space filled with things that genuinely bring you joy, things that serve a clear purpose in your life or really contribute to your well-being. Mindful spending is simply about consciously choosing to walk through door number two more often than door number one.
It's about lining up your spending with what actually matters to you, isn't it? With your core values, your real needs, not just fleeting whims or what everyone else is doing.
Precisely. And this ties directly into that Buddhist principle of intentionality we talked about. Every action, including how you spend money, carries weight, has consequences. Mindful spending asks you to pause before you buy. Ask yourself, does this truly align with what's important to me? Will it genuinely add value to my life, or just add to the clutter, physical and mental?
So bringing deliberate awareness to those purchasing moments, what are some really tangible ways to practice that day to day?
Well, a simple but very effective exercise, again, drawing on mindfulness, is just taking 3 slow, deep breaths before you make any non-essential purchase.
3 breaths.
Wow. And as you breathe, ask yourself 3 quick questions. First, why am I thinking about buying this? Is it a real need, a heartfelt desire, or maybe just an emotional trigger response, a habit? Second, how will this purchase really impact my life? Will it bring lasting value, or will the excitement wear off quickly? And third, could this money serve a higher purpose for me right now? Could it go towards an experience, a cause I care about, a bigger financial goal?
those three questions, why, impact, higher purpose, that's a really practical little checklist to run through. It creates that crucial space between the impulse and the action.
Exactly. By doing that consistently, even for small things, you train your mind. You become a more conscious guardian of your resources instead of just getting swept away by desires. Over time, this builds financial discipline, reduces buyer's remorse, and actually fosters a stronger sense of empowerment around your money choices.
And you also mentioned, importantly, that mindful spending isn't just about restriction. It also allows for mindful enjoyment.
Yes, absolutely. The middle way is about balance, remember. Constant denial can just breed resentment and eventually sabotage your efforts. It's important to acknowledge your progress, celebrate achievements with maybe occasional mindful treats or experiences that genuinely nourish you. That reinforces the positive habits and helps maintain a healthy, sustainable relationship with your finances overall.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now let's shift to the next principle, generosity. This one might feel a bit counterintuitive, right, when we're talking about building financial well-being. Conventional thinking often emphasizes just saving, accumulating, holding on.
That is the common view, yes. But Buddhist wisdom offers a really different angle. It suggests that true abundance doesn't just come from what you gather, but also from what you share. Think of a stream again. If it keeps flowing, it stays fresh, vibrant. Wealth, similarly, kind of needs to circulate, needs to be given to truly flourish and have a positive impact.
The story you shared about Ananda and the poor woman's offering, that really captured this beautifully.
Yes. Ananda, one of the Buddha's main disciples, was deeply struck by this woman. She had almost nothing, yet she offered her very last bit of food with complete selflessness. Her act of giving, despite her own lack, was seen as creating immense merit, a powerful, positive karmic ripple that would ultimately benefit her.
Even if we don't think in terms of merit, the core idea resonates, doesn't it? Generosity leading to unexpected positive returns.
It does. It connects very much to that psychological idea of reciprocity we touched on earlier.
Right. When you give, it tends to foster goodwill, maybe inspires others to give back in some way, creating this positive cycle.
Precisely. Generosity might not always bring a direct financial return, but it absolutely strengthens connections, builds community, and often opens doors to support and opportunities you couldn't have predicted. And it doesn't have to be huge gestures either. Small, consistent acts can have a really significant cumulative effect.
Like, leaving a generous tip, donating to causes you believe in, even volunteering time or skills.
Absolutely. All of those count. Even small, regular donations to causes you care about can make a real difference, both for the recipients and for reinforcing your own sense of connection and abundance. Consistency is really the key. Regular giving is like tending a garden. It nurtures the conditions for abundance to grow in your life.
You mentioned the idea of maybe setting aside a certain percentage of income for generosity. Can you expand on that?
Yes, the idea is simply to consciously decide to allocate a portion of your income. Maybe it's 10%, maybe 5%, maybe even just 1% to start. Whatever feels right and sustainable for you specifically for giving. This could be charitable donations, supporting someone else's growth, or even just funds for spontaneous acts of kindness. And actually tracking these contributions and then just noticing any positive synchronicities or unexpected good things that happen afterwards, that can be a really powerful way to personally experience how generosity flows back.
That's a really tangible way to intentionally build giving into your financial rhythm.
Yeah.
Okay, now for the third principle in this section, detachment. This one can feel, well, pretty challenging sometimes, especially when it involves something as basic as financial security.
Yes, detachment is frequently misunderstood. People often equate it with indifference, apathy, and not caring. But in this context, it's really about liberating yourself from clinging too tightly to specific outcomes. While still remaining fully engaged in the process, in the present moment, it's about trusting the unfolding of life, doing your part with integrity and effort, but without being neurotically fixated on one particular result.
So financially speaking, how does that look? It's definitely not about not caring if you can pay your bills, right?
Oh, not at all, no. It's about releasing the need to control every single little aspect of your financial future. So instead of obsessing over hitting exact numbers by a certain date or trying to predict every market move, you focus on cultivating good financial habits. You focus on aligning your actions with your deeper values. And you cultivate a trust that by living authentically, by contributing meaningfully, the resources you need will actually come to you.
The image you used earlier, holding sand tightly versus in an open palm, that really sticks with me.
Yes, the tighter you clench your fist, the more sand slips through. When you loosen that grip, releasing the fear, the greed, the need for absolute control, then money, opportunities, they can flow more freely towards you and through you.
And the story of the Zen master, Tetsugen, that also seemed to highlight this idea of persistence without being rigidly attached to a specific outcome or timeline.
Exactly. He faced so many setbacks trying to publish the Buddhist scriptures. It took decades. Each time funds ran out for some reason, he just started over, fundraising again from scratch. His unwavering commitment was to the process, to the goal, but without being attached to a specific deadline or even a guarantee of success. And eventually, the project was completed, far exceeding expectations.
So the lesson is, success isn't always a straight line, and detaching from rigid expectations opens you up to other possibilities.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Detachment involves letting go of that need to micromanage everything, trusting that if you live authentically, with clear intention, the right resources will align.
It's about releasing that fear of uncertainty, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Trusting the natural rhythm, knowing that even challenges can sometimes steer you towards unexpected growth.
Precisely. Trusting the process.
It's really striking how these three things, mindful spending, generosity, and detachment, they really do seem to work together. They're interconnected, aren't they?
Absolutely. They're like three interwoven threads. Together, they create a strong, resilient fabric for your financial well-being. Mindful spending makes sure your financial energy goes where you truly intend it. Generosity creates that positive outward flow, attracting goodwill and abundance back. And detachment helps you navigate the inevitable ups and downs with more grace, more resilience.
Thinking back to Alex, the tech entrepreneur we discussed, it sounds like he really put this synergy into practice on his path to success.
Yes, I think he did. Once he integrated mindfulness, he consciously applied these ideas. He got much more intentional about spending. He made it a point to support causes he believed in. And he shifted his focus from just chasing short-term profits to building long-term sustainable value.
And the result wasn't just more money.
No, the result was financial prosperity, yes, but also a much deeper sense of personal fulfillment and inner peace, which arguably is the greater wealth.
It really highlights that financial well-being isn't some static destination you ride out.
Yeah.
It's more like an ongoing evolution, right?
Yeah.
Every conscious choice adds to the tapestry of your life, and grounding yourself in these principles helps create a prosperity that lasts because it's rooted in your actual values.
Well said.
Okay, this brings us to the final part, what you refer to as the ultimate revelation. Seeing financial freedom as a gateway to spiritual awakening. That feels like a really profound step up.
It is, I believe. It invites us to look beyond the usual idea of financial freedom, just having enough money to be comfortable or do what you want. Instead, it suggests that achieving that freedom can actually be a powerful launchpad towards deeper self-awareness, greater compassion, and ultimately a more awakened way of living.
You talked about three transformative truths within this. Let's start with the first one. Financial freedom as a tool for service.
Yes. This really asks you to think about the deeper purpose of having wealth beyond just your own comfort or security. Buddhist teachings consistently emphasize that true, lasting fulfillment comes more from giving than from getting. So financial freedom, seen this way, becomes a tremendous opportunity to serve others with love, with intention.
The story of Dashrath Manji, the mountain man, that was such a powerful example of service, even without typical financial wealth.
Absolutely. Despite his own very challenging life, his decades of selfless labor, carving that path through a mountain just to help his community, it transformed so many lives. It just highlights the incredible impact we can have when we use whatever resources we possess, financial or otherwise, to ease suffering and contribute to the well-being of others.
It really challenges you to think about wealth differently, not just as something you have, but as a resource that can be channeled to uplift humanity, funding education, supporting ethical businesses, helping neighbors. And you mentioned this fascinating paradox. The more you use wealth to serve, the more abundant you actually feel yourself.
Yeah. It's a profound truth, I find. The act of giving creates this deep sense of connection and purpose that goes way beyond material gain. It shifts your focus outward, reminds you of how interconnected we all are. A practical way to embody this could be creating a dedicated service fund. Just allocating a portion of your resources specifically for acts of kindness, community support, causes you believe in. Over time, you might be genuinely surprised by the deep sense of fulfillment and maybe even the unexpected blessings that flow from that practice. It's about building a legacy that's much bigger than just material things.
That's beautiful. Okay, the second truth you mentioned was the alchemy of inner and outer wealth. This sounds like it's about harmonizing our internal state with our external reality.
Exactly. Buddhist wisdom sees wealth in two dimensions. There's inner wealth qualities like wisdom, compassion, peace of mind. And then there's outer wealth, material possessions, financial stability. True sustainable prosperity emerges when we bring these two realms into balance, into harmony.
You used that lovely analogy before. Inner wealth is the soil, outer wealth is the tree. Can you unpack that a bit more?
Yes. Just like a healthy tree needs rich, fertile soil to really thrive, our external achievements, our outer wealth, are deeply rooted in our internal landscape. If your mind is constantly filled with fear or greed or negativity, honestly, no amount of money in the bank will bring true contentment.
Right.
But conversely, cultivating those inner qualities, gratitude, clarity, compassion, peace, creates fertile ground within you. And from that fertile ground, abundance, both inner and outer, can naturally blossom.
So what are some tangible ways to actively cultivate that inner wealth day to day?
Well, it involves engaging in practices that really nourish your inner being. Things like regular meditation to quiet the mental chatter. Gratitude journaling, as we discussed, to shift focus to the positive. Engaging in deliberate acts of kindness to strengthen connection. And at the same time, it's important to try and align your outer wealth actions with those inner values. For instance, if sustainability is deeply important to you, maybe you choose to invest in or support companies that are environmentally conscious.
So it's about creating that congruence. What's inside matches what's outside.
Exactly. Congruence, authenticity. The story of Sarah you mentioned earlier, her journey really showed this.
Yeah, healing her relationship with herself first, self-compassion, meditation, gratitude, and that led to a richer life overall, inside and out.
Precisely. It highlights that true wealth is holistic. It embraces both your inner peace and your outer circumstances.
Okay, and the third transformative truth, the unexpected gift of detachment. We talked about detachment earlier, but this feels deeper somehow.
Oh, it is. Here, it's less about managing finances day to day and more about a fundamental orientation towards life. It's not about renouncing wealth, but truly transcending your attachment to specific outcomes while still staying fully committed to the process, to living with integrity.
You described it as surrendering the need to control every detail, trusting life's natural unfolding.
Exactly. That metaphor of the river flowing effortlessly to the ocean captures it well, I think. The water doesn't fight or strive, it just follows its natural course. Similarly, when you can detach from rigid expectations, from anxieties about the future, you allow life to guide you. You open yourself to possibilities you might not have even conceived of otherwise.
In the example of Mahatma Gandhi's simple life, his detachment from material things allowed him to focus entirely on his mission, right?
Yeah.
And have an immense impact.
Yes, his life is such a powerful example that true influence, true fulfillment often comes not from accumulating personal wealth, but from aligning with your values and dedicating yourself to something larger than yourself. Needs, not greed.
So how can someone cultivate this deeper detachment?
Well, maybe start by noticing where fear holds you back. Fear of loss, fear of scarcity. Identify those areas. Then consciously work on releasing those specific attachments, replacing fear-based thinking with actions rooted in faith, in trust. The visualization you mentioned, gently floating down a serene river, can be a wonderful tool for practicing that feeling of embracing life's natural rhythm. Letting go.
So as we kind of weave all these different threads together, emptiness, gratitude, karma, mindfulness, the middle path, service, inner wealth, detachment, it becomes really clear, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Financial well-being, seen through this lens, it's about so much more than just bank balances.
So much more.
It's about cultivating a whole way of being, aligning your actions with your deepest values, and ultimately using your resources, whatever they are, as a way to grow personally and contribute to the greater good.
Exactly. The principles we've explored today, they really offer a kind of framework, don't they? A framework for living a life of genuine, authentic abundance. It's a path that nourishes not just your finances, but hopefully your soul as well.
And as we wrap up our deep dive today, it really leaves you, our listener, with a powerful final thought to ponder, doesn't it? Money itself. It's neutral, just energy. Its impact, its influence in your life and the world, it depends entirely on how you choose to wield it. Will you let it be driven by fear, by separation, or will you harness it as a tool for spreading light, love, positive change?
The choice ultimately is always ours, each moment. May your own financial journey be guided by wisdom, may it be inspired by compassion, and perhaps illuminated by some of the timeless teachings we've had the chance to explore together today.